Today on Let's Get Cooking here at the Capital Market, we got a special one. We are doing grilled lamb chops with a tzatziki sauce and a chilled melon soup. So thank you very much to HD Media, the Media Center, AARP, and the Capital Market. Let's get cooking. This is a great time of the market. I don't know if you had a chance to walk through, see all the wonderful colors, all the wonderful smells, all of the great produce at our fingertips right now. We got melons, zucchini, squash, eggplant, gosh, you really name it, peppers, onions, peaches, you name it, we got it right now. Everything from herbs to between the ferns. So today we are celebrating that. We are also, thanks to AARP, extended the budget just a little bit today. So we are doing grilled lamb chops. So we're gonna do grilled lamb, which is absolutely wonderful from Johnny. So thank you to Phil Williams who cut these wonderful lamb chops for us. We also thank you. We've got Olna Greens. And this is a super cool thing too. We use these at the restaurant. So these are cantaloupe sprouts, so it'll go really, really well with our chilled melon soup. So we're gonna do, what we're gonna start with today, we'll start with our melon soup. Actually, we're gonna start with our lamb marinade first. So lamb is, so there's a couple of different places that lamb comes from. New Zealand, Australia, and then domestically, most importantly, domestic. There's a lot of different flavor profiles in these lambs from the different areas, a lot of different sizes. The lamb that we have today is from Australia, so they purchase their lamb locally from Buzz Meats. The reason why is price difference. Lamb from Colorado is basically like you're buying tenderloin. It can be $30, $40 a pound. What we're doing today is the Australian lamb with our wonderful lamb marinade that we do at 1010. So we're gonna start with our garlic. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt to this to give it a little bit of texture. And then I'm just going to slice it up really nice. The salt's going to add a little bit of abrasion, so when we have it together, it's going to kind of keep it apart. It's also going to obviously add flavor to it. So when you're doing a marinade, you could also add all of these things together in your Vitamix, in your food processor, toss them all in, pulse them up, and have the great marinade there. Since we are making our melon soup, I did not want to mix my pleasures. And since we only have one Vitamix today, maybe that'll be on our budget next time. 2 Vitamixes. Thanks to AARP, we have 2. All right, so I'm going to add this to our bowl. Again, I'm kind of rough chopping it. You can go as fine as you want. I actually like the flavor that the garlic will give the lamb. We got a little bit of salt in there too. I'm gonna take our garlic. I'm gonna take our rosemary, a little bit of basil. Basically, whatever herb you wanted to add in there to this, you can add. I'm going to add a little bit of our pepper. I'm going to do a little bit of a shallot. Move this over so you can see. So with the shallot, we talk about this often. Same as an onion, a little bit smaller, a little bit more mild. I'm just going to kind of go straight down through. Then I'm going to take palm down, fingers up, straight over once, and then this is just a really easy way to mince. And again, if you don't want to take all this time, throw it right in a food processor, right in your blender. We'll do some mint. I'm going to add a little bit of vinegar. Now the vinegar is going to, or any acid in a marinade is going to break down that protein. So you could do vinegar, you could do some sort of citrus. It's going to do the same thing. I'm going to also add just a little bit of lemon and lemon zest to it. So we've got our handy microplane. I'm going to zest first. All the flavor comes from the zest. That oils that are contained right in that skin is absolutely wonderful. Now when you get down to the white part, stop. That's where all the bitterness comes from in the lemon, that pith. So got that. I'll cut that right in half. I'm gonna squeeze that right in. Again, more citrus, more acid to break that down. Get the little residual right off of there. Again, if you enjoy just a purist with lamb, you don't need to add any of this. You don't need to do the marinade. I just feel that the marinade really helps to bring out the flavors of the lamb. So I'm gonna add my herbs, mint, basil, rosemary. I'm gonna add a little bit of oil. So the oil will help it stick. It will also help it break down. Now you gotta be careful when you're marinating. So one of the things that will happen a lot, oil and fire want to flame. Fat, any type of fat on the grill will flare up. So you've already got a little bit of the fat cap on this lamb. So just be careful when you add your marinade. And you could do this the day before. You could do it 2 days before if you wanted to. So what we're gonna do is go ahead, my trusty sous chef is going to get his hands in there, mix it up really well. So now I'm gonna make the tzatziki sauce. So the tzatziki sauce, we are going to, so I have had the little bit of prep time ahead of time. I have just grated our cucumber, a fresh cucumber right here. So super easy. Again, this is another thing that you could put right in the either the mixer, your blender, your food processor, whatever it is, just to make it a lot easier on you. I would do any of the liquid first. So your cucumber, your lemon, your lime, your salt, and then add in your sour cream and yogurt. That way it doesn't break. So we've got our cucumber grated right in there. You can also peel the cucumber if you really wanted to. I kind of like the little flecks of green that it adds and the texture that it adds to it. We've got our sour cream and our yogurt. If you don't like yogurt or you don't want yogurt, you could always add just a little bit more sour cream. If you don't like sour cream, you could do all yogurt. You could do Greek yogurt. Just make sure that when you're buying the yogurt, you just get the plain and not the vanilla. I've done that before. I've pretty much done all of the mistakes. You know, I've got to mess it up a couple of times before I really understand. So this is our yogurt. Got our sour cream. And I'm gonna do the same thing that I just did. We've got dill and mint. So make sure you pick, so I've already picked the mint, so we don't want the thick stems in there because that's gonna be bad on the mouthfeel of this. So pre-pick it. Again, this is something that you could do a day, 2, 3, 4. This is a sauce that is going to last you probably more than a week. because it's, you know, easy. I'm gonna go ahead and just get this. So make sure your knife is nice and sharp. We don't want to bruise and beat up the herbs. We want to actually cut through them. So again, I'm leaving it nice and rough. Lemon. The lemon is important. Lemon and lime are important with this one because of the richness of both the yogurt and the sour cream. This is going to really brighten it up along with those herbs. And make sure you get all of it off there. I'm going to cut it in half. I just do one into the other, so I'm catching the seeds and just kind of spreading my fingers ever so slightly. So I've got all the seeds in my hand, but all the juice goes through. You could also get those fancy juicers. A juicer like this or juicer like that. I have two juicers. They're called fingers. Now there's no seeds in the limes, but just out of habit. All right. So now we're going to add just a little bit of salt. Probably about a tablespoon of salt. We're going to add, you could add, and then a little bit of garlic. So again, I'm going to do the same thing. Now, if you wanted to, you could roast this garlic off. You know, I like that bite that the raw garlic gives it. But if you wanted to, you could roast the garlic off. It'll make it a lot less garlicky. We got this. If you are grilling, I would say you're looking at 30 seconds aside to a minute aside. This is one where you don't need to take it from here to here and do the cross hatches on it. This is, because it's so small, you just want to get your grill screaming hot. I mean, we're looking at 650 degrees right now. Super hot. Make sure your grill is clean. You want to put the probably at a 45-degree angle. You get those nice marks, flip it directly over, get nice marks, and then pull it off. If you need it to be cooked a little bit more, you could finish it in the oven. You could also take them all out and then put them on a pan. You could use the grill as an oven, put the pan directly on there and shut it, use the convection from that and the heat from the oven. Again, because these are so delicate and also they're fairly expensive, you don't want to ruin it. This is something that you definitely want to pay attention to. So while that's marinating and our sauce is kind of melding together, we're going to do a chilled melon soup. This is a great time of year. We've got the melons. Here's a really good point. Because I had onion and garlic on the board, I'm going to flip the board. I am going to, the first cuts really on any round anything are always to make sure that you have a flat surface to work with for safety. So most melons you could do either cut them in half, clean out the seeds, and then slice it if you wanted to eat it directly out of your hand. That way you have a handle, which is the skin. Since we are doing this and we're making a soup out of it, I'm going to take the skins off because that doesn't make sense. So I'm going to you're kind of following where the skin meets the flesh. And that's where you want to go. And you want to angle your knife and just go straight down, kind of in a sawing motion. You're probably gonna leave just a little bit on the bottom, but you're trying to get as little flesh off as possible and as much just skin as possible. And then I'll flip it over and kind of clean up the bottom side of it. Oh, not too bad. Gonna take this, I'm gonna scrape this out. Not a ton, which is awesome. You could save the seeds. I haven't really figured out what to do with those yet. You could, you know, toss them in a little oil, roast them off. As you know, I'm very sustainable. I try to use everything as much as possible. I would use the skins if I possibly could. So getting all this off. I have also already portioned a little bit. So again, melons, salt, pepper, melons. Super great together. So you get the sweetness, the creaminess of the melon, you have the salt, that's why prosciutto wrapped melon, that's why a little bit of salt and pepper on melon. Salt really brings out the flavor of the melon itself, but it also it allows that melon flavor to penetrate your tongue even more. So I'm just gonna rough chop this. So we got our Vitamix here. I'm gonna grab my glove. So we're just making a melon soup. You're just pureeing it. And so we could do this with, you know, if you wanted to do this with tomatoes, it'd be kind of like a gazpacho. You know, puree the tomatoes up. Again, the tomatoes, again, have skins. Now the skins, you know, our bodies don't digest two things, skins and seeds. So that way in, you know, in French restaurants, we actually peel the tomatoes. We peel grapes. We peel a grape. That's why those are two things I don't do that much anymore. So I'm gonna mix, we've got a little bit here. I'm gonna put a touch of salt in, just a little bit. And what I'm doing by adding a little bit of salt and a little bit of seasoning at a time is I'm layering those flavors. So you can always add more salt or pepper at the end, you just can't take it out. Also going to add a little bit of zest. Again, this is just going to brighten the fruit just ever so slightly. When you get home or the next time you are at, you know, in here at the Purple Onion, grab a citrus fruit and just scratch it and smell it. Smell it first, then scratch it and smell it. And you will see the difference in where all of that flavors come from in the oils of the citrus. All right, put the lid on. Just like a vinaigrette, when we talk about those things, if you were to do this, if you did a chilled melon soup the night before, you might need to whisk it together because it's going to want to separate, you know, the cell structure from the water. So it's okay. It's just going to look weird a little bit, and then just whisk it back together. It'll be fine. We have something. Can you hand me one of those? Yes. So we're going to kind of do this in small batches. See how these Vitamixes are absolutely wonderful. A little bit of salt, a little bit of zest. At the end, we're gonna add, you could add a little heat. We're gonna add a little bit of chipotle powder. The little bit of the chipotle powder is gonna add a little heat to it. It's also gonna add a little smoke. If you didn't want the heat, you could do smoked paprika. If you don't want any of it, you don't need to do any of it. You could just go right in. You can also do this as a smoothie. You could add the yogurt and this. You could really do a little tzatziki melon smoothie if you wanted to. You're getting crazy. Again, you know, we're not overthinking this. We're buying the most local, the most seasonal ingredients, and we're doing as little to it as possible, and we're just allowing the fruit to be the fruit. We're just putting it in a different form so it's easier for you to eat. Again, I'm gonna add a little bit more of this J.Q. Dickinson salt to bring out a little bit of the flavor. I'm gonna go ahead and right now, and I'm gonna add mint to this one, fresh mint. I'm gonna add a little bit of Greek yogurt to this one as well. This is gonna add a little bit of acid, a little bit of twang to it. Again, really, the most important things for this are salt and melon. Let this one go a little bit longer, kind of make sure that all the mint is really mixed in there really well. That way it doesn't affect the mouthfeel of the final product. We're also going to add a nice little green tint. And then we're going to garnish this with a little bit of our cantaloupe microgreens from Oh My Greens, which is also here locally. So our grill is super hot. So one of the things that we always want to do is season our grill. So I always have a rolled up towel with a little bit of oil kind of either in the grill or ready. And this way, all I'm gonna do is just, I'm seasoning it, which is basically cleaning it. I got it super hot, so I'm burning off everything. So we're looking at about 650 degrees here right now. We got our marinade on there. Now remember, our marinade does have a little oil on it too. So that's a good thought also. Make sure if your marinade is something that has a ton of oil in it, that when you pull it out of the marinade, you kind of drain or pull a little bit of that oil off of it. This marinade is just enough to where it's creating that flavor. It's also creating, the oil will conduct the heat from the grill grates to the protein better, but there's not too much on there, so it's gonna flare up on us. We have just the right amount of marinade, just the right amount of oil. There isn't anything that's flaring up a lot. Now the little fat cap on the back is gonna catch a little bit, so I'm gonna pay attention. I'm gonna make sure that I'm moving them just ever so slightly, but not a ton. Again, one more thing, let the pan or the grill do its job. We don't need to touch it. So now I'm just gonna flip it once. Again, it's not because I'm lazy. It's because I just want the grill to do its work. Plus, I'm not putting my hand over a hot grill any longer than I have to. So right here, this is what we're looking for. You see those nice grill marks right there? So if it wasn't hot, it would be fine, it's gray right in between, but the flavor comes from the grill marks. Thanks to everyone for being here. Thank you so much to HD Media, the Media Center, AARP, and the Capital Market. Let's get cooking.